How much did I charge? Oh yeah, $10. You got change for a 20?
Oh, I only got $6.12.
Oh, well, that's okay. Here, just give me the $6, and then I'll give you the 20.
Okay.
Now, give me the pubes, and I'll give you back $2.
Right.
Now, give me the 12 cents, and I'll give you the rest of your change back. And then give me the 20, and I'll give you the pubes.
Sweet. God damn!
Alright, y'all, I just want to let y'all know this is the last video I'm ever going to do from C-Jack. I'm going to be taking a break from his videos for a little while, so I might do the Crown Jewel review, Saturday, but other than that, if you don't see me making reaction videos of Raw, SmackDown, of his reviews, it's mainly because I'm just taking a break from his channel, man. Just taking a break because I got a lot of videos I need to make that I need to catch up on. So I'm taking a break from his channel. But however, I am willing to do this one because this is about the low viewership with SmackDown. And I feel like we need to listen. So we're going to go ahead and get started with this video. But I just want to let y'all know before y'all ask me, why you haven't been doing C-Jack's videos is because I'm taking a break from it. So we'll go ahead and get started with this video, but this will probably be the last video until I feel like doing it again. So let's go ahead and get started.
This is a vid that I obviously knew that I was going to have to make, but I don't want to make a video like this, but the time has come. Today is one of the lowest days in the history of pro wrestling and in the history of the WWE, okay? At the end of the day, I've been telling you guys for the last year that the ratings, the viewership will continue to be indicative of how this product declines and how the intrigue for it declines. Viewership doesn't always determine necessarily the quality of a show or of a PLE or something like that, but it does determine the intrigue. And obviously, if something is bad, the intrigue will likely go down and downwards over time. And that is exactly what has happened to this company under the leadership of Triple Fraud, who doesn't even show up backstage. He doesn't give a crap if this company dies at this point, and that's exactly how it feels. Remember earlier this year, I made multitude of videos covering the fact that in the build to Mania 41, Triple H was doing a bunch of podcasts and interviews and basically telling fans that if you don't like the product, if you have a problem with it, because, during that time, fans were starting to become upset with the build to Mania 41 and it just not feeling like a Mania season. Does it feel like Mania season now, when I ruin everything, and book bad matches, You know what I mean? Like, come on! I don't care if you're the game, why don't you give us good content, But instead, the game says, if you don't like the content, he said this during the Mania 41 build, he says that you can F off, you're not a real fan, What kind of person tells that to their fan base? You know what I'm saying? Your fans who are tuning in, spending money on subscriptions, spending money on tickets, showing up and viewing this garbage, and you're telling them to F off, quote unquote, and actually say, what's it called? He said, you're not a real fan if you don't like this? Really? This is the guy who's booking the shows, and then on top of that, I've covered multiple times in recent memory where he hasn't even been in Gorilla, and he said himself that he's missed Raws. He doesn't show up. He's out there in the White House passing laws and speaking on stuff that he doesn't even know what he's talking about. Are you kidding me? This guy's doing this while we're getting garbage Raws and SmackDowns every week, and we sit here and get the same rematches every week. Bayley's talking about this week I'm happy, next week I'm angry. She's got a split personality thinking she's Venom. We are Venom! No, we are jobbers! That's what you are! I don't give a crap about none of this stuff with Bayley. What kind of arc is this? I don't care about this, this rip-off Venom nonsense. We're Venom! We're Venom! Eddie! Stop! It's trash! Okay, let's move on. We're watching Lyra Valkyria fight Roxanne Perez every single week. Every single week, Jey Uso and LA Knight. Yeah! Yeet! Yeah! Yeet! Yeah! Yeet! No! This is garbage. And you wonder why the viewership tanked. Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes were on Raw together and advertised, and you pulled your lowest Raw Netflix viewership of the year at 2.3 million. This is a disaster. This company has no superstars left besides Roman Reigns, and even he's starting to feel not like a superstar because of how poorly he's being booked and how he's being utilized to fight and feud with jobbers like Bronson Reed. But anyways, that's besides the point. We're going to talk about there being a lack of stars and how I've been saying, you know what? It's just really hilarious to me. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit here and actually, even though this is not a video that, I ever want to make about WWE because we love WWE. We want it to be as good as it can be. We like wrestling, so obviously we want it to be great. But unfortunately right now, and for a long time, over a year at this point, the product has been atrocious. But I have to say, man, at this point, how many of these things are we going to predict? The viewership going down, the quality going down. On top of that, we also have to talk about the fact that this has had multitude of times that the more that this company does not have stars and triple fraud doesn't put an effort in to actually build true superstars, that is going to over time drive people away from the product like crazy. And of course, you're seeing it now. And that leads me to the main point of this video. We have the ratings for last week's episode of Friday Night SmackDown, okay? And I'm just going to say this right now. I think this was October 3rd is for this, the SmackDown viewership is for this October 3rd, last week's episode, okay? Before we get into this rating, because this is actually really sad, okay? But anyways, Raw just had its lowest viewership of the year on Netflix, okay? Fox, obviously, on SmackDown, they averaged 2.3 to 2.5 million viewers, in the US alone. And that was just as early as last year Fox was doing those numbers, okay? Obviously, we know that ESPN gave WrestlePalooza, okay, WrestlePagarbage, a solid, what was it, C grade? You know what I'm saying? And that's being generous. The show is in reality like a F or a D. We know that the Netflix PLE viewership, I've showed you guys the graph of the international viewership on these Netflix PLEs. You can see how drastically it's gone down since the Royal Rumble all the way to Night of Champions, and now they're not even reporting the PLE since Night of Champions because the viewership has been that bad. And now SmackDown last year on USA Network, remember they opened up and it was Roman had his return, around the time of their first episode on SmackDown on USA Network. They had around 1.8 to 1.9 million viewers consistently for the first couple weeks, or even the first couple months it may have been, okay? And now SmackDown's rating last week, according to David Meltington, David Meltzer says, and you can look this up for yourself too, the viewership of last week's Friday Night SmackDown was 1.03 million.
Well, 1 million is not bad. I mean, especially with 2.3. I mean, it just sucks because they used to do more than that, but now it's not like that. So, I don't know. Only thing I can tell you, the only program from WWE is going up is NXT, but that's because Shawn Michaels is booking, he books better than Triple H. But the problem with me is that because you had Laura Vice lose, it's the reason why I'm not watching NXT. But when you put the belt on Maya May, aka Blake Moreau, I'll watch it again. But it's gonna be very hard for me to take it serious because you won't put the belt on Laura Vice or Jada Parker or Lash Legend. Where is Lash Legend? Nowhere to be found. Where is Jordan Grace? Saw her as a referee, and then where'd she go after that? That's what I'm saying. Like, it's just all these women in the back, and you won't put the belt on them. Hey, listen, man. I don't have much to say right now because I'm very disappointed of how people are very. I'm disappointed with the internet, man. Like, they're so obsessed with AEW's downfall. They're preying on their downfall, and I just hope to God that next year they'll get their game back up because, we got 2 months left, and already ratings is going down and on both ends, but the only thing that's going up is NXT. But other than that, everything else is just like, just going downwards. And I just hope that Tony get it together. Because like I said, he just need to build star power and add more marketing to the play, and then people will watch it. You know what I'm saying? But we could talk about that later, but let's just continue. But dang. I'm glad that NXT is up, but they need to do something about the women's tag team division, man. Not the women's tag team division, but the women's division. Like, can you please put the belt on one of these women? Can you please put the belt on Jada Parker, Lash Legend, Laura Vice, Maya May, Jordan Grace? Come on, man, please. All right, I can't watch NXT if you're just gonna job these women out. Why is Maya May facing Zyra? I'm not interested in that. Give me something else. Damn. Like, it's just ridiculous, man. But let's continue. But dang, what is going on? I don't give a fuck about WWE, but AEW, man, what is going on? But shout out to NXT though. But still, I think the women's division, need to be investigated, because why is the Black and Browns are not getting a title shot against Jesse Jane? It ain't Jesse Jane Brown. I don't know. Y'all comment down below. Let me know what race is Jesse Jane. But let's continue.
Which basically lets you know that SmackDown is 30,000 people away from dropping below the 1 million viewership mark. Do you understand how disastrous this is? This is a main roster, supposed to be the second or first, arguably, however when you look at it, probably the second biggest show in all of professional wrestling, and it's about to drop below 1 million in viewership. That is a problem. And that shows you that you're almost at that point where the USA Network is probably going to do an opt-out of their deal with WWE. Like Netflix, and just with anything in general, like even with football and Prime Video, for example, for the Thursday night games, let's say the NFL was having really bad viewership and they had a long-term contract, there's obviously always an opt-out clause, you know what I'm saying, with these companies. So USA Network can opt out. Netflix, I think, after a few more years can opt out. They can even opt out early and just pay all the money up now, I think, and just go ahead and move on. They may have to with the disastrous viewership. Imagine investing $5 billion into something and they're already having awful returns. You can't even draw barely 2 million viewers globally on your show. If I'm Netflix, I'm axing WWE. If this continues for another couple of months, I'm done. If I'm Netflix, I'm done by early next year. You can forget that. Go back to USA Network, chump. You know what I'm saying? Go back to USA Network, you jobber. Now, but anyways, SmackDown having the lowest viewership I think this is the lowest viewership of all time. And if not, this week's episode is probably going to have the lowest viewership of all time. This company is dying. It's sad to see it like it is, but I've been saying this for over a year at this point, and we have to acknowledge it. We have to actually be real with ourselves. If this continues with this company, the viewership declining like it is, these companies giving out billions of dollars to WWE and getting absolutely nothing in return, it's not acceptable. And what's going to happen is these companies are going to opt out of their deals. WWE is going to have to go to networks that don't have anywhere near as much outreach, you know what I'm saying, viewership outreach, and Raw, SmackDown, the PLEs, which are on Netflix, and people's subscriptions for Netflix, like I saw some stat, the subscriptions for Netflix before the subscriptions for ESPN, the subscription, you know what I'm saying, the subscriptions for ESPN streaming service, where you can now watch WWE PLEs, the subscriptions didn't even go up that much before WrestlePalooza even came out, you know what I mean? You can look it up for yourself. It's just embarrassing at this point. So that didn't drive any hype. WrestlePalooza sucked, so people probably ended and canceled their subscriptions. This is a disaster. And there's no excuses at this point, guys. Triple H has led this company into the ground. He wants to be on the face of all the billboards and do all the media and all the marketing and all the podcasts and do all the post-show interviews and talk about how he's the gamer in the Paul Levesque era, and his wife's talking about it. She's got a podcast. Undertaker's got a podcast. Dr. Libations has a podcast. Tyrese Halliburton has a podcast. Everybody's got a podcast, but we don't get good product. So I don't care about any of this nonsense anymore, man. It is what it is. Triple H wants to be on the face of the company, wants to be the face of the company without actually doing anything to earn that spotlight. And now you see how it's paying dividends in the worst way possible as the viewership declines. The fan complaints are up. The fan intrigue goes down. And you have these PLEs coming out and they all feel meaningless, boring, nonsensical, and absolutely skippable. And that is the worst spot to be in if you are running PLEs as a professional wrestling company, man. And it is embarrassing at this point. And now we have to acknowledge one last thing I do have to say with the superstars. Romano Reigns is obviously very clearly the last superstar in professional wrestling. Now that he is actually starting to feel not as special because of what he's being booked to do with this Bronson Reed nonsense, there is a chance that they are going to run out of superstars because no one new is being built. You went from people like The Undertaker, you know what I'm saying, Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, Rock, Shawn Michaels, John Cena, Roman Reigns, and now you're talking about what? Cody Rhodes, Stardust, Richard Saints, Oba Femi, You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we talking about? The Seth Rollins? I mean, like, really, bro? And I like Seth Rollins. Don't get me wrong, but come on, man. Stop, okay? They're not on the level of the previous superstars that have carried the generations of professional wrestling, all right? And so the final conclusion of this video is that wrestling is on the borderline of officially being dead, okay? It's been dead, you know what I'm saying, in theory, basically now for over a year. But after this rating eventually drops below 1 million, because it's probably going to happen very soon, once that happens and the intrigue is completely died out, fans worldwide don't care anymore. They're not showing up and paying these egregious ticket prices. And John Cena, the biggest star of the last like 15, 20 years of your company, is basically saying goodbye in a couple months. And his retirement tour has been absolutely atrocious. And Roman Reigns, the only other superstar left, you know what I'm saying? His current run as the OTC arc has been atrocious. And he now doesn't feel like as much of a superstar. It's rough, and it's only going to get worse, guys. Cody Rhodes is not going to magically become some legendary level performer. Seth Rollins is not going to magically become the next John Cena. You know what I'm saying? Carmelo Hayes is not going to randomly become the next Rock. It's not happening. So we're in a place of despair. It's sad that we're here. The only thing they can do is try and make the best of what they have left from a roster perspective, and I feel like they did a solid, very good job of that, you know what I'm saying, in parts of 2024 and in most of 2023. But man, what's happening now, this is a sad day. SmackDown, the lowest SmackDown rating in WWE history, man. Wow. I don't even have any more words, man. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. And as always, I thank you guys so much for watching. Have a phenomenal day. Peace out and one love.
All right, let's talk about AEW Dynamite and Collision. So, of course, they both are combined for the next couple weeks. But for this month and next month. But here's the thing. I believe this should have been the card on Tuesday. Where we had Title Tuesday, this should have been the card right here. Where we have Adam Page and Samoa Joe having a face-off, right? Still have the six-man street fight tag team match. And also the Mercedes Moné Open Challenge for the TBS title. But also add the mixed trio match, including the 6 women tag team match. And then we have Pac and Orange Cassidy. And this should have been the Dynamite card right here. And then as for Collision, we have the Double Jeopardy Eliminator match. We have Jon Moxley versus Tomohiro Ishii. And also Jurassic Express, right? And then we also have, Kyle versus Kyle 2. And then we get to Eddie Kingston and The Beast. And we also have Josh Alex. Unfortunately, Coda, he's injured. So this match should have been canceled. I think it was, but I don't know if he was replaced. Y'all comment down below. Let me know if he was replaced. But yeah, this should have been Collision right here. This match cut right here. And that was the problem with Dynamite. I feel like Dynamite would have done at least about 5 if the match card was what the first one I just showed y'all. But I do have a suggestion on how to get the ratings back up. And shout out to AEW blog. But it pretty much said this. I asked him what we got to do to get these ratings back up. And he said more advertising, more marketing, more flyers, more connection with news or TV channels or other companies that can help and support more wrestlers during TV and commercials, visiting local cities to promote the upcoming shows, old school methods, but can work. Man, if only we can get that. And that's what we need to do. We need to go back to the old school method, and we also need to get these YouTube videos back to 3 or 4 minutes long. Used to be 7 to 8, but I say if you want to just stick to highlights, that's fine. But at least do 4 or 5 minutes long of the highlights, so that way you don't have to make it look like it's a short clip. You get what I'm saying? So if he could do that, I'm pretty sure the viewership will go back up like it was 2 months ago. But we have to wait. See if he can hire some new editors to see if they can do that. But as of right now, it's still like 2-minute clips, when it needs to be longer than that. So hopefully they can get that, because the viewership, ever since they made that change, the viewership has been going down. The max they can get to is like 200K. See, at least with the pay-per-views, they're good because they know it's gonna be highlights. But when it comes to the TV show, like Dynamite and Collision, it's like you needed to be at least a little longer than like 4 minutes, and they're not doing that. So they need to do that. Otherwise, it's just gonna keep tanking. So, and also I have another suggestion from one of my subscribers. So Michael said this. He said, I feel right now they don't have compelling storylines, something to get people to tune in the following week. I also feel TK has a lot on his plate with Fulham, the Jaguars, other projects, and then Collision, Dynamite, and Ring of Honor. I think he needs to get bookers into the team, someone to book the women's division and someone to book the mid-carders, and he can look after the main event scene. But mostly compelling storylines that will capture the casuals, especially the ones who are leaving WWE. We have seen the dip on their viewership and attendance. SmackDown on Friday were down 5K from the last time they were there and still didn't sell 400 plus tickets. Tony Khan has a great opportunity to grab the ball and run with it, but he keeps dropping the ball. Yeah, well, hopefully he can pick up the ball and shoot this time, but right now I don't know what's going on, but hopefully next month or next year he will pick up the ball and actually shoot to the basket, But I don't know what's going on. I mean, if Tony's doing all the writing, there's something wrong because how can you do all this writing but don't have nobody else to help you with that writing? It's just weird to me. But yeah, that to me that's a great suggestion. I mean, he definitely need that, and he ain't the only one. Leo said the same thing. I have an audio recording of what he said, but he got cut off at the end. But it was like a 5-minute audio of him speaking about what they can do to get it back up. And let's go ahead and listen. I was gonna save it for the next video, but I could just repeat it twice. So let's listen.
Okay, as a person that's been watching since 2019, right, since its inception, I think, let's be real, they had the star power to get that like a million, like WWE does, right? They have that. They have the star power to do so. I think the thing is building up compelling storylines and continuing those compelling storylines week in and week out, right? What I mean by that is get people reasons to watch Collision, right? You think about back in the day, like when they first started Collision, that was going to be a CM Punk show, and I think it was either that or Rampage, but you know what I mean. So they were giving people a reason to watch. That is what we need. If we're going to be doing, example, the current storyline that they're probably about to build up between Hangman and Samoa Joe, build that. Build the tension. Take that from Dynamite over to Collision. Get people reasons on Dynamite to tune in on Collision, right? Building compelling stories. I've seen times where they will start up a storyline on Collision and then bring it to Dynamite. Now, is that sometimes a good option? Yes. But the thing is, not everybody watches Collision, right? Most people, like, I'll be honest, I've been trying to get into Collision, but sometimes the storyline just, either I not fully invested like I should be or whatnot, but I mainly just watch Dynamite and I watch the pay-per-views. Back then I was watching Dynamite, Rampage. I was watching weekly, but we need more storylines to get invested. And then another thing they need to continue to build is a stronger women's division. Star power-wise, they're set. But the problem is they're feeding everybody to Mercedes, and that's an issue. I get it. You want to bring up, give her a long title reign to beat Jade Cargill's, which I understand. And let's be real, she's gonna break that record. But the thing is, how many people do we have to sacrifice that should be being built up in the process? Same thing with the Tony Storm championship reign. A lot of people, they were just thrown in there without no proper build to getting to that moment. Prime example, Megan Bayne. Megan Bain, honestly, should have went through the TBS title scene, built her up as a credible threat, then build her up to go after Tony Storm, right? Or if you would have been building her up as the monster that she is, build her up throughout this year and had her win at All In when they did the Casino Gauntlet. Then had her win that. Then she goes up to compete for the Women's World Championship. Boom. We have a star. You see what I'm saying? We have so many stars that we're putting out there, but it's just like, look at what we just did with Mercedes. We just threw Rio out there. No build. No build. They tried to make some type of sense of it, but there was no build. If we're gonna have these people going up against Tony Storms and Mercedes and Chris Statlanders of the world, build these women up week in and week out. Put them on Dynamite. Put them on Collision. Put them on weekly television on the bigger stage so the people that are watching, Dynamite like myself, and we see them having these performances, be like, okay, I like seeing what Megan Bain's doing. Let me check out what she's going to do on Collision. Let's see how they're going to build her up after what she did on Dynamite. That's what I'm talking about. If we can do that, not with just the women's division, and build up a stronger, tag division. Now we have the tag titles for the women, and going over to the men's side of things, we need stronger, storylines going after the tag division for the men, because right now it's lackluster. They kind of deflated, but now we have Jurassic Express back. We'll see how that goes. You got the trios. That hasn't really went anywhere. I thought they were going to give it to Ricochet and Gates of Agony, but I guess they're not going to, because now that they're doing the storyline with MVP, with the Hurt Syndicate. So I don't know where this storyline is going to go from there, but like, I enjoy AEW, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like they need to continue building bigger, storylines that warrant being on the pay-per-views. And the same thing goes for the pay-per-views itself. You don't necessarily have to shove 10, 12 matches on the show. You don't have to. It's okay, giving us 6 matches or whatever the case may be. Put the matches that warrant being on the pay-per-view. It's okay to put some of these matches on Collision, on Dynamite the week before or the week after.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, look, so far we got 5 matches on Wrestle Dream card, but I think it's better off with just 7 matches. So far it's 6, and I expect them to add 1 more, but that's it. We don't need any more. And honestly, I don't understand why we have the Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express on here when that was a Collision match. And why do we have, the Doncast family against the tag team champions, knowing that we could have saved that for Dynamite, or maybe not Dynamite, Collision as well. Why everything else could be added on the card. But we're going to talk more about that next week with the match card for Wrestle Dream. But other than that, man, just pray for Tony Khan, man. Pray for the whole company, because like I said, they have a chance to get it back up. And right now, it's just, I don't know what's going on in that room of theirs, but I just hope to God they get it together, because right now it's not looking good. So hopefully he'll get it together next month or next year, so that way he can, get his ratings back up. Because right now it's just getting down. It's just getting lower and lower. And well, not lower and lower, but I guess you could say it for YouTube, but for the cable ratings, it's just, it's just no excuse of why it's low. You know what I'm saying? So I hope Tony Khan get it together, man. Because right now I don't have no words, because I'm tired and I'm disappointed. So hopefully Tony Khan will get it right. But as for WWE, I don't give a fuck. Whatever they're going to continue to make money, and they're going to continue with their ratings being 1 million and whatnot. So anything above 1 million is good to them. So, well, it's good to, to the fans, but it ain't good to us. So I really don't care. So, but anyway, right now people are just talking about the ratings between Netflix and AEW, and I could give 2 fucks. So y'all get in the comment box and let me know what y'all think about this. Because either way, all three of the companies, TNA and WWE and AEW, their ratings is going down. And if that's the case, that proves CJ right that people are not caring about wrestling like they used to. But I still think they might watch AEW just because of the content. But as for WWE, shit, it's going to take a minute for them to go down. It's going to take a while. But y'all get in the comment box and y'all let me know what y'all think about this. But get in the comment box. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, share if you're new. And I'll catch y'all in the next video, all right? I'm out.